Welcome to Bulletcast, a bullet catcher gaming podcast. In this episode, we will be talking about our friend TYRANTSLAYER01. Today, we have guests from the server who have known him for quite a bit of time and have played the game with him. But we're going to go right over to Andy, your host for Bullet Catcher Gaming.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. Do appreciate it. Slightly different podcast this time. We did say we were going to be doing a live stream, but after we all had a chat, we decided to do a podcast. Jeremy, of course, produced episode 1 all the way up to episode 14, so every episode of the podcast so far. And we know he enjoyed doing them, so we thought this might be the best route to take. Shout out, of course, there to Grandpa 8 Up for producing this episode of the podcast. Thank you, buddy. I do appreciate it. Everything you'll be seeing in the background today is of Jeremy and his footage. And at the very end of the podcast, when we've finished jabbering, stay tuned because you'll see some interesting things as a tribute to Jeremy. So please, go and check that out at the end. It's a really nice tribute through the game for Jeremy. So we have, a collection of people here today. So thank you all for coming on. And everybody here, knew Jeremy, some people more than others, but I'd like to say that we were all really good friends with him. We're going to miss him. So we're just here to talk about Jeremy. And we will be talking about the game too, because obviously Jeremy loved the game. He loved to play the game. He loved to complain about the game, like we all do, to be fair. So I just want to get straight into it. I think, and if this is okay, and I'm not picking someone, but I want to start with Mike because Mike was so close with Jeremy. Mike, what about if you start us off? What's some things that come out to you? About Jeremy, especially regards to Breakpoint. What you got? Any good memories, stories that you want to share?
Man, the the things that I can say about Jeremy, so many. Uh, he was courageous, mentor. If there were certain attributes that you had that you brought to him when you're playing with him and everything or whatnot, he had a peculiar way to bring the best out of you, you know, and that's an attribute of a leader. And he even used everybody has been a part of him to help him hone in these rules that he came up with. And I'll never forget the first time I played with him. You know, just days prior, I had sold all of my resources, so I had no way of crafting anything. And here we are on Gollum Island, and I had nothing to craft anything with. And he thought it was so funny. I'm sitting there limping around and everything, and next thing you know, we go to a bivouac, and the type of man he is, he turned around and shared some of his stuff with me in a bivouac where I can actually get back into the fight. But that's not only just one thing that he did. There's many, you know. Like I was saying, he brought the best out of you. You didn't realize it at the time until, something like this happens, and then you start realizing what it was that he impacted you with. He was able to build a cohesive team, a group, or somewhat of a family type scenario. If you didn't hear anything from you, he'd check up on you, see how you was doing. Just being a friend.
I can definitely jump in and say they're 100%. I know many people here say that he would always reach out to people and check that they're okay. He was on the Discord pretty much almost every single day, and I can't remember if it was you, Tonka, when we were talking the other night in a game, and you were saying about the fact that he would turn around and say, "That's it. I'm done for the night. I need a break. I need a break from the game, and I need a break from everything. I'll see you later." And then, like 20 minutes later, he'd see him having a conversation in the Discord with people about something, and he'd be like, he just couldn't stay away, if you know what I mean. Ever since he came into the Discord, he'd just been a constant presence in there, and I know that he'd brought many people into the Discord. I'm sure a few of the people even here he brought into the Discord. I know that there's a lot of people in the Discord now in this community who were there because of Jeremy, not because of me, because of Jeremy, and I'll always appreciate that because then I got to meet these people too. And every time Jeremy ever said to me, "You should speak to this guy, whoever it may be," he said, "You should speak to this guy. This guy's a really good guy." I mean, like with Mad, for example, he said to me, "Mad's a really cool dude. You should talk to him." And ever since that, I've been speaking with Mad. I knew that Jeremy would be right. He would never say to me, "Speak to this guy." I'd speak to him and go, don't know, this guy's a bit of a dick or whatever. He had a way of bringing people together, definitely. Whether it's playing with him or, we just jump in for chats on here or, personal, just sometimes when I talk to him on a one-to-one basis. But he was always there. He was always there to help me. He gave me ideas if I needed his help. Obviously, the way that he came in and jumped in and did videos with me, he was always willing to help. He'd say, "I'll send me things in advance and I'll sort that out." And, the fact that what he did on the podcast, it's just crazy to think that, here we are on a podcast, the first podcast we've ever done without Jeremy. And it just seems so weird. Jeremy should be here. It's, the podcast was just as much Jeremy. And, when I think of the podcast, I think of 8up doing his intros and outros and stuff like that. And Jeremy talking and obviously me. And it was always the same, that core in the podcast. It's so strange not to have him on here. But I will say one really quick thing before other people start getting into things. But it always when I told him, he said to me, "What are we doing? What's the next podcast?" And I told him the date. And I was like, "We're doing it Tuesday night or whatever it was." And he's like, "Okay, that's fine." We sorted out the time and whatnot. And he went, "Oh, you haven't told me what this one is." And I said, "Oh, yeah, it's the raid. We're going to do one about was the raid a success?" And he was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake." I was like, "Oh." And he's like, "Oh, I'm not going to talk. I'll just get annoyed." And he went, I'll still do the podcast, but I'm going to sit in the audience." He went, I don't want any part of it." He went, "It would just annoy me. It just irritate me." And that always made me laugh. I love the fact that he hated the raid so much. He didn't even want to talk about how shit it was. He didn't even want to discuss that it was bad. And it always made me laugh. That really did. It really did make me laugh. But sorry, Tonk, were you about to say something then? Jump in, buddy.
No, I was just laughing that he hated the raid more than he did Ubisoft.
That is
He
so
did,
true.
That's
so true.
Absolutely hated it. Absolutely hated it.
Yeah, that part right there is so true. But I don't know. I think the raid might be a second to Ubisoft.
I think it's about equal.
No, because
Yeah.
the one thing with Jeremy was he hated the raid, so you didn't have to worry about him getting in it. But the game was Ubisoft.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Mike and Tonk can vouch for a couple words with Ubisoft in front.
Yeah. But he kept coming. He kept coming back to it. That's the thing. That was like a love-hate, wasn't it?
Oh God, yeah.
It
was a
it's
7
a bit like marriage, really. He loved playing the game, but he got so frustrated when, silly little things happened in the game.
The weird thing with Ty was Ty/Jeremy. He had all three systems. He had first
Yeah.
had the Xbox and the PC. So he would
Yeah.
still play the PC pretty much on the weekends. But then
Yeah.
one of I think Hotheads sent him the email to get a PlayStation 5. So he bought the PlayStation 5. So now he has all three consoles with the same game, but he has a hate for Ubisoft.
Yeah, and they're getting no more of my goddamn money.
Yeah,
And
but the thing about it
Who's
is,
got everything in the store?
but but the thing about it is, he was on 7 days a week. PlayStation was Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Xbox was Monday, Wednesday, Friday. PC was all day Saturday. So 7 days a week with this love-hate relationship with Ubisoft. But he gathered all the people that he could in the game and told them, hey, this is what you're going to do. This is how you play it. And if that didn't work, okay, let's try something else.
But
I remember you talking about the PlayStation 5 when Jeremy was umming and ahhing over whether to get it or not. And he was one of those people that it didn't actually take too much to persuade him, because I remember him saying, I can't remember the full thing. John or Hotheads will be able to help out with this one. I remember us having a conversation. He was like, yeah, I might do, but you can't get them. So, yeah, I'm not that bothered. And then I'm sure, John, did you turn around and say, that you had two? Was it you that had two, or you ordered two by accident?
Well, Sony had sent me another exclusive invitation email to basically sit in a queue, and I think it happened around the same time. So it was just kind of luck. I think it was last May or something.
No, it was later.
I'd have to check my mail.
It was one later than that, because I think me and you got the same email, but the only difference is you sent it to Jeremy.
I can
and I think this was
it was
October.
June 23rd was when I got it for him, and just used the invitation and put his address as to send it to. But that was back in June of last year, based off our messages. But I don't know when I got the email. It may have been a couple months, or it wouldn't have been months earlier, because it's a set date and time. But yeah, I mean,
I remember jumping on with him the first night he set his PlayStation 5 up, and we jumped on. I don't even think he'd played a game at that point. He was trying to work out what the settings were and where they were and all the rest of it. And obviously, it was quite different to the PlayStation 4, which I'm not even sure Jeremy had. I can't remember.
Yeah, he had a 4.
Yeah, but it was totally just, he was like, where do I do this and where do I do that? And he was getting frustrated with it.
Yeah, he was struggling to get people to join the game, because the 5's got a completely different system.
Yeah, very much so. But no, he was getting frustrated with that big time. But yeah, he did get one in the end. And I mean, in terms of, I think one of the things that when you talk about Jeremy, you have to talk about his survival rules and the rules that he had for his gameplay. I mean, I think pretty much everyone here at some point, I think, has played with Jeremy at least once. Some of us multiple times, and some people I think Mad and Mike and ate up pretty much every day. Have you got any interesting stories, for example, of survival mode? I mean, I've got one when I was playing survival with him on PlayStation, and I can't remember whether I think it was with you, Tonk.
Yeah.
And I think maybe
me too in there.
I believe so. I think it was you guys, and we were doing
Camp Tiger.
Yeah,
I believe it was Tiger, and I believe it was where we were doing, like you had to start with your pistol, go and pick up a weapon, and we kept doing that bit when you went down the step. Two of us were going down the stairs, and the other two were trying to go through the front entrance and trying to clear it out that way. And I started to get frustrated, and I cheated, and he caught me cheating in his rules, and he was annoyed with me. because I picked up the 416, and I was like, hell yeah, got 416, nice. And we all got wiped and started again. And I was running around trying to find a decent rifle, and I couldn't find one, so I was supposed to drop the 416 that I'd picked up previously, and I didn't. And he went to me, and he went, Jesus. He's like, you've got the 416 again. I was like, I know, I got lucky. And he's like, God damn it. And he's like, he was saying whatever it was he picked up that he didn't want.
The Bren.
And then all suddenly, out of nowhere, we got wiped like instantly again. And we started again. I was like, oh no, can I get away with it for a third time? And I was like, let's just see. So I kind of hung back for a bit, waited for you guys to go forward. And then I was like, I just picked up a 416. And he was, you guys were talking, and I thought, oh, Jeremy's gone quiet. And then he went, you haven't done it, have you? He went, you haven't dropped your weapon, have you? He went, I was like, okay. All right, you caught me out. I tried it 3 times. He knew I weren't going to get that lucky to get the 416 immediately every time. So I did get caught out. Yeah, but he knew you couldn't cheat on his rules. But has anyone got any interesting stories? I'm sure you guys have.
Well, I know right off the start, my most memorable, how me and Jeremy first met is the craziest thing. Bullet, you had a podcast about Motherland, about the Motherland DLC. And I remember towards the end of the podcast, I jumped in to put my 2 cents in on what I thought about the DLC. And I remember
that.
I went into my rant. I can't remember what all I said, but I know I said it pretty much straightforward, to the point, blunt. I put it out there. And I remember as soon as I was done, the one person that spoke up after me was Jeremy. And the first thing he said, and you guys remember this too, hopefully you guys remember this. He said, well, I don't think there's anything mad about what you said. Actually, I think it's quite reasonable.
Yeah.
So,
you Pain instead of Mountain Pain.
Yeah. So it was funny, but it was funny because I went back out in the audience, and then he continued to say, "Hey, Matt, if you're out there, hey, hook up with me, and maybe we can get a game going." Well, no sooner after the podcast ended, he reached out to me in a Discord call, and he goes, "Hey, man, you seem like a pretty cool dude," and he goes, "Do you stream at all or do anything?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do a little bit." And he goes, "Well, you got a follower here, bro." And I was like, at first I was thinking, I'm like, well, what did I say? What did I do to make him, connect with me in that kind of way? I was kind of puzzled a little bit. But the more in the conversation we kept talking, the more I kept thinking, I was like, man, we see eye to eye a lot when it comes down to this game. And what became a conversation about the game became pretty much conversations from there on out every day. After that, we would call each other up and we would talk about the game, but then it would start stretching from game to life experiences and sharing life stories, talking about our past and, touching base on things we like to do. And I remember we did video calls and he was showing me pictures of his armory. He had a slew collection of guns, and we were showing each other, our guns back and forth. And, after that, it was like we start hooking up in streams and we started playing the survival mode. And I'll never forget my first time playing with him. My first time playing with him, he was like, "Look, this is a completely different animal. This is not anything you're used to, and it's going to take some getting used to." He said, "But just bear with it, stick with it, and you'll be all right." He goes, "I got no doubt that you'll be all right." I said, "Okay, no problem." And we did Camp Tiger. And at the time, Operation Panther, he's on the PlayStation side. he was in there, and I was side by side with him, and it was me, Jeremy, Operation Panther, and I think Tonk. I think you were there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you were. And I remember we were going through this base, and I kept alerting the base left and right, and boy, I could tell he was getting aggravated a little bit. Because when Jeremy goes quiet, you know he's getting aggravated. So, and then I remember him telling me, "Oh, slow, slow and steady. We're going under too fast. Slow and steady." And then I remember after we did that run, he called me up and was like, "Hey, man, you did good last night. You did good, man. You did good tonight." And then we started talking more and more about just random shit, joke around with each other. And one thing I must say, if I had to pinpoint, our relationship happened, our friendship happened so fast, and it ran so fast. But damn it, every day that I got to speak with him and I got to play with him, it felt like I've known him. I've known him for years because I knew how he was. I knew his sense of humor. I mean, who can forget? Who can't forget his Ubisoft rants in the middle of when something goes south? He would just ran on about Ubisoft, and he was like, "Oh, fucking Ubisoft this." And but I remember that he still came on every day, whether it be PlayStation, Xbox, PC. He still got on there and he played the game every day. And obviously, he did have he had a love-hate relationship with it. But what was great about Jeremy was I wouldn't be here with you guys. I would not be talking to you, Wander, you Blue, you Tonk, you Slay Tyrant, Grandpa, Hotheads, Iron Mike, of all people, Iron Mike, Bullet Catcher. I would not be here speaking to you guys if it wasn't from Jeremy connecting me with you. And he had this ability to connect anybody to anyone that he felt would be a good match. There'll be a good match to pair up and play with each other. And he hooked you up with them people. Whether you wanted to or not, every time he pointed you in a direction, you kind of nonchalantly you went there. And then you built that relationship with that person. We can all say that this is why I say he's the pillar of the community, because he brought everybody here or brought them closer one way or another, whether it be something he said in the previous podcast, whether it be a one-on-one conversation, whether it be, going like just playing a game of him saying something funny. He had a way of bringing everybody together no matter what differences they had.
Yeah.
He had that ability. And I miss him every day. I do miss him. I look at his messages every day. I go through and I try to find and pinpoint as many messages as I can that make me feel good. And it made me feel so good that he included me in his streams. Just playing with the man, it made me feel so good. It made me feel like I actually had a really good friend to play with. I never had to fight to find someone to play with. Days that I would wake up and I didn't have any work that day. He would text me on Discord, "Hey, you want to do a 2-man tactical jam?" "Sure. I'm not going to stream it. We're just going to have some fun." "All right, no problem." We got on, we played. He brought me back to the game more so than what anything Ubisoft could do. And that's speaking volumes. He cannot, if one man can create game modes and bring people together like he did and connect as many people as he connected, and did connect more people than what Ubisoft ever could. Now, that speaks for itself. He was a great man. He was a great friend. He was a great asset to this community, to Bullet Catcher Discord. And I think everybody here, whether you want to say it or not, but everybody deep down inside has that love for him. And if he was here and you had to say one more thing to him, I will tell you what I'd say. I'd tell him, I love you, my brother, because that's how I felt. That's how I feel. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here right now talking to you guys. I wouldn't have all these friends around me.
Oh, well
And
said, buddy.
Yeah.
Well said,
Very much.
100%.
Oh,
I
said.
think every single one of us could, your story with him is different to ours. Everyone's got their own story, but what you just said there resonates, I'm sure, with all of us. And just going on from whether you knew him from the Discord or whether you played with him or you didn't, you only have to see, I think, the love for Jeremy. When I did the tribute video the other week, I decided not to reply to comments because I thought we could just leave it as for people to it wasn't about replying and having conversations with people. So I left those comments. It was just for people to put things. And, there were some really amazing comments in that video. So many people saying, whether they'd seen him. Some people had said they'd gone online and played games with him. Some people had said that they just knew him from the Discord and had talked to him on the Discord. Other people said they're not on the Discord, but they have obviously listened to him just solely in the podcasts. Other people had said that they loved some of the weapon videos that he made with us because they like to hear his insight on different weapons and how they work and things like that. Just found all that stuff interesting. There were so many different comments from different people. There's a few hundred comments on there now from a lot of different people, and he just affected people in different ways, and it's really nice to see. And to be fair, we're quite lucky as a channel. We don't get a lot of hate. Every now and again you get a little bit of hate, but that's the internet for you. But it was so nice to see there was no one. Everything on there was just love, as what, going back from what you just said, Mad. And I'm particularly proud of the fact that, when I started talking to Jeremy, it was probably about a year ago now, when we started lining up our first video together. I knew immediately, just when a few messages, that we were going to get on really well. And the first chat we had was so good. We ended up chatting for hours and hours, and it was only supposed to be for 10 minutes to prep for a video. And, he said to me that he always made this very apparent, and I'm sure everyone else here could probably mention their own stories. But he had no interest. Yes, he was a streamer, and yes, he was in videos, and yes, he was on the podcast, but he had absolutely no intention of making a name for himself. Like, he didn't ever felt like he needed to be somebody, if you know what I mean. Does that make sense? Like, he wasn't after attention. He just liked being in a community of people who liked the same things that he did, and especially the game. And yes, we know he had a love-hate relationship with it, but I still think it tipped more to love than hate. And you end up criticizing, and you should be able to criticize things that you love. That's why you love them in a way, because you want them to be better and things like that. But and he said something to me right at the very beginning, and he said he watches YouTube videos from time to time, and he said the problem is that it's just people who are like, come and see me, come and listen to me, come and listen to what I want you to listen to. And I get that. That's what YouTube videos are about. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Otherwise I wouldn't have one myself. But he turned around and said to me, but I like yours because yours is different. I said, oh, okay, so why do you think it's different? And he said, you don't sound like it's all about you. You actually sound like you care about the community. And he said, and that's what made me interested in doing something with you. And I'll always respect him for that, because he got what we were always trying to do. And it's why ever since that first video, he's been here non-stop. He's never gone away. He's never taken a break. He's always been here. And so many people have met him through the Discord and because of the videos that we've made with him. And it has been lots that we've done. Some really funny moments. And if anyone is listening going, well, I don't really know a lot about Jeremy. you know, and I'm not trying to tell you should go and watch videos of ours and things like that, or watch old videos, but some of the ones that he did, the weapon videos and things, you know, listening to his insight about how weapons work and things like that is fascinating. And, you know, you listen to the Jeremy scale. Someone put a comment in there on that tribute video, which I thought was my favorite comment. And they said, because obviously Jeremy had his weapon scale of his own that he said would have worked better than the one that Ubisoft made. And someone said Jeremy was a 1000 on the Jeremy scale. And I really did appreciate that. It made me smile. I think Jeremy would have liked that comment a lot. And so, you know, but if you do want to listen to him, there's so many videos up on the channel with Jeremy on them. Obviously, every podcast apart from the Raid one. He's there, but he's not chatty. But, you know, go and listen to the guy. Honestly, it's I've been listening to some old things again that we've done, and some. He's just such an interesting person to listen to. I love listening to his opinions. He never had a go at Ubisoft, I don't think, for the sake of it. He always had really good reasonings behind the things that he thought didn't work and why it was a bad idea. And so many people, after making videos with Jeremy, would comment on videos about how they loved listening to his opinion, especially on the podcast. And I said this to him before. I said, do you ever look at the comments? And he did on the weapon videos, because he thought he needed to, in case we were doing a follow-up, he wanted to see reactions. But podcast he didn't. I said, there's so many people that say that they like listening to you. And he laughed. He was like, really? Why? And I was like, but you don't understand what a nice person you are, and it comes across like that, and you're interesting, you're funny, and you know. So he was one of the most least arrogant people I've ever met in my life, and I thank him for that. And sorry, I've just gone on a really long rant there, not rant, but it just meant a lot to me that he believed that this channel was not just something as a self-focusing, just, you know, about clicking on it and liking and subscribing and give me money, which is obviously a lot of what YouTube is all about. It's never what we wanted it to be about. We always wanted it to be a community. And I think Jeremy helped massively into the realization of Bullet Catcher being a community. And I'll always thank him for that, and always thank him for the help that he gave me and his input, and how he conducted himself, and bringing in some really awesome people. So thank you, Jeremy. I do appreciate it, and I'll never forget it. Let's go back to the survival rules. And
before we go there, let's go to Slade Tyrant. Let's get his thoughts.
I think he's got up.
Yeah, I've lost you. I can't hear you at all.
He's disappeared.
Yeah, buddy.
He's gone.
Disappeared. Yeah. But yeah, they were.
You guys
they were
can hear
quite
me?
hard. They were quite hard.
Yeah, we can hear.
Hey.
I was saying, let's go to Slade Tyrant, because I know he's got a short window coming up.
Go for it, buddy.
Oh, what? A short window?
Yeah, you said you had something to do, right?
Oh, no, that was Wanderer. But I do have a quick little story. This one was funny. This one, you and Bullet are gonna remember this little event. You guys remember whenever you were doing codes for the M4A1 survival before it got put in the store? You had a Easter egg hunt.
Yeah, we had the treasure hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Oh yeah. Well,
We remember that.
me and Dusty were busting our asses to try and figure this thing out. And we were sitting down at a bivouac, and we were going over the clues and shit like that, and we were cussing each other out trying to figure out the fuck you guys were on about. And out of nowhere, Jeremy comes into our game, and so we're like, holy fuck, okay, let's get him in the party. So we got him into the party, and he's sitting there going like, what are you guys doing? And we're going like, we're trying to do this Easter egg. Oh, you're trying to get the M4A1? I was like, yeah. You guys in the bivouac? Yeah. Why don't you come out of the bivouac really quick? I was like, nah, man, we're trying to get our stuff set up so that way we can try to find clues and blah, blah, blah. And he started shooting this shit with us about the fucking bullshit practice that Ubisoft had with bringing in weapons that would only be like achieved through one thing, and they're not like a big significant difference. There's not like a major, in his opinion, it wasn't all that major of a cosmetic change. Anyway, we go on a conversation about 30 minutes, and finally we get out of the bivouac, and the camera angle, you know how it kind of like looks at the sky and then circles downward to where you're facing?
Yeah.
Landed smack dab on him. And he had in his hand the M4A1 Survival. And it took me a second to fucking click.
So you guys, you sit in there for 30 minutes, not even knowing he's standing outside with it.
Oh yeah, no, not at all that he had the weapon in his fucking hand. And we were talking about how he wanted it, and fucking that camera spun around right smack dab on him. I'm like, where the fuck did you get that? He goes, I'm just special. I was like, bull fucking shit. He went on later. He was like, here, let me drop it on the ground for you. I was like, I won't be able to pick it up. Yeah, you can. It's right here. I'm standing on top of it. Here, let me pick it up and then drop it down for you again. I'm like, dude, fuck you.
They wouldn't let you pick it up, though.
I was convinced because didn't you and Dusty win?
It was a couple.
Yep, we were the first ones to win it.
You were the first ones to get it. I thought you
Jeremy-
were about to say Jeremy came in and told you all the answers.
No, he didn't.
No,
have
he
the
didn't come in and tell us the answer.
He didn't have.
No,
the
he
answer.
didn't do
was
it.
me and you.
He got an M4A1 Survival. I don't remember how he said he got it, but he said he got one.
He got it from me.
Oh, did he? Oh, well then, fuck you for letting him do that to me.
Yeah, see, Jeremy, it was only 3 of us that knew the clues. Andy.
Oh man.
Andy, it was only 3 of us that knew the clues, the answers. It was me, you, and I think
Jedi.
Yeah, it was only 3 of us.
Yeah. We came up with it. In fact, I think very soon. I was thinking about this the other day. We need a new one. We need a new Easter egg hunt. But this time we'll open it up, not just for the Discord. I think we'll do it on YouTube as well and make a video, and we'll put in all of the clues in a video. I think that's the right thing to do. I think we need a new one because that really did frustrate the hell out of people.
But
what he would do.
So
what he would do afterwards. Real quick, what he would do afterwards to carry on with that little bit is every so often, because I think it took us most of the fucking day, every so hours or whatnot, he sent us a message or sent me a message going like, did you find it? No. You haven't got it yet? I was like, got what? And he showed me a picture.
That's such a Jeremy thing to do.
Yeah, that would be. But see, the weird thing about it was I know there was the one clue with the teeth or something like that. That was the one that one was the one that took the longest for those 2 guys.
Well, even when we were prepping the answers, how many times did we go in first and count those teeth? It was quite. Me and Jedi did it a few times, and then me and Jedi did it,
and then me and you
again, and me and you went in just to double check that we'd got them right, because we thought we're going to get people hating on us, going, there's not that many teeth, there's this many teeth. So we did count those again and again and again to make sure.
And the very first clue was the hardest one, it seems, looking underneath in that tent for that backpack.
For that, and people were coming back with some random colors and saying like it was this color or that color. And I was thinking, surely it's not going to be different colors for different people. It's going to be the same, right? And it was the same for you, me, Jedi on our games. So I thought, no, it's got to be that. But maybe people were just looking in the wrong tent. I don't know.
It was only one tent there, but here or there, it was only 2 colors in there, and we said, what's the odd color? And it was 3 backpacks, 2 blue, 1 orange, and the only way to see it was with the drone.
Yes, you had to get the drone out. That's right. You couldn't see it with your visual eye, could you? You had to get the drone out and look.
Yep.
Because that was low to the ground, wasn't it?
Yep.
It was right at the very back, tucked in. It was. You really had to get the drone out.
The tent was really low to the ground because there were some bits outside, but you couldn't see inside the tent.
Right, and you had to.
And I didn't think
you
of,
couldn't
like you
lay
said,
down.
like using the drone.
And you couldn't lay down to see it either. So you had to use the drone to look in there.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
it was fun putting that together too. So yeah, we need to put up another one.
Let's do another one.
But real quick, I know Wonder has something to. Wonder probably has a story he wants to share too.
Yep.
What about you, Wonder?
I'm
What's your
actually,
favorite
first of all,
Jeremy story?
oh, I don't really have a particular story.
Well,
Just
you
pretty
got-
much what
you
we
got
started.
something.
What we started with. We're going over things that people liked about him was what I was gonna do. I guess if I had to pick a story, it was the first time I talked to Jeremy on a call, and I remember this week distinctively. It was just after episode 3 had come out, and on at least for the Xbox, I'm seeing all this negativity on Andy's server about the update not working properly, the game crashing for X amount of people, people's accounts failing. I think literally a few days prior to that, G Money made his video about all the issues with his account as a complaint to Yubi. I just see all this negativity surrounding the game, and I just sit down with Jeremy on a call and break and being like, I can't do it anymore, man. He's like, well, what do you mean? It's part of being one of the few people who actually care in this, honestly, or at least I personally know that cares like you and Andy do and everyone on the server, that we want to see this game do well, and insert X here. And he says, the reason we keep doing it is so future players in the next game won't have to hear the same complaints we do. I heard that, I thought to myself, you're right. And here I am, X amount of months after episode 3, and I'll be honest, if I didn't have that chat with Jeremy, I probably would have left the server and left Ghost Recon altogether. At least left the game altogether. So that's the first thing, Jeremy, that I appreciated. The other thing that I'll miss, to be honest, is much like one of you guys said earlier. He'd always just check in and be pretty relaxed. If you wanted to call him or he wanted to call you, he'd either send you a message or ring you, or it was never out of the blue at a super inconvenient time, or at least for me it wasn't, which was nice. He was a nice person to talk to, and I'm gonna miss him because I've lost family before, but this is probably the first true friend that I've lost, so that's not fun either.
No, thanks for that, dude. And I'm sure, and I know that Jeremy spoke highly of you. To be fair, he'd spoken to me about you before, and always said, what a nice. Well, he always called you. Jeremy called everyone kid. Anyone that was younger than him was a kid, basically. So he'd go, "Oh, that kid's nice," and everyone was a kid. But I used to talk to Jeremy all the time about G.I. Joe. Obviously, everyone who knows me knows I love to talk about G.I. Joe whenever I can. So we'd end up talking about G.I. Joe for ages sometimes. But we talked about all sorts of things. I can remember one night just chatting with Jeremy, and we were talking about, because obviously he lived in, I'm sure this won't be an issue with me telling him, I'm sure he's mentioned it before, but he was from the Arizona area, which is obviously quite famed for its UFOs. And we'd talk about UFOs for hours and stuff. It's always something I'm really interested in, and how the dynamic of UFOs has gone from being, if you believe in them, that you're some kind of tinfoil hat wearing lunatic, to all of a sudden like you've got actual governments of the world kind of coming out and going, yeah, they're real, kind of thing, pretty much. And the interesting dynamic of how that's kind of happened. And but he was hugely fascinated in that stuff. There were so many different things that we used to talk about. But I'm really interested in Jeremy's play style, and having played with Jeremy many times before on multiple games. His extreme rules and things like that. I mean, that really is, I think, the number one thing that people, other than maybe the podcast and stuff, that he's played with probably hundreds of people. I didn't realize how many people until I saw some of the comments on the YouTube channel as well. Has anyone else got any like interesting? Mike, you must have some interesting stories from Survival. You played with him so many times.
I did have one final thing I wanted to say before I went, though, if that's all right.
Yeah, go for it.
Jeremy will be missed. I don't think even X amount of time down the line we'll be able to fill the spot you had in the podcast. I appreciated working with you on this channel. You were very nice, and I hope up in heaven you're having a grand old time, and you will be missed. And thank you for being a friend and helping strengthen this community for new people to it like me, or people who've been here since the start. Guys, I hope you all have a good night. I will now open my spot. If anyone else in the audience wants to hop in for the remainder of the recording, and I hope the rest of you guys all have a good night.
Thanks, bud.
Cheers,
Take
buddy.
care, mate. Take care.
Nicely said.
Take care,
Nicely
buddy.
said. I will say one thing quickly before Mike jumps in. Sorry, Mike. I can just imagine if Jeremy is sitting up in heaven or wherever he is currently sitting, if they have access to YouTube and he is currently watching this, I can just imagine him cringing over it, to be honest, and he'd be like, "Oh my god,
What are they doing down there?
what the fuck are they doing?" He's
Yeah,
like,
right
"They're
now he's-
using this time. They could be having a go at Ubisoft, and instead they're talking about me. What the fuck?" I could just see
Right
him
now
really
he's
not
playing-
being impressed.
Right now, he's playing the perfect Ghost Recon title right now. We'll never ever get to play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the one he did not have to pay for.
He's up there with Tom Clancy himself.
Yeah, he's taking Tom Clancy through survival rules right now.
I
sitting
bet you
with
he's
Tom
got
like, why the
freaking
fuck?
Tom up there right now, freaking saying, "F you, Ubisoft."
Yeah, he's probably
Right
He's sitting
now.
with
teaching
Tom. Why
how
the
to
fuck
say
did
it.
you sell them the rights to Rainbow Six at fucking Ghost Recon? God damn it.
He'll be like, right now, he'll be like, Rainbow Six Extraction. Have you seen them put aliens in your fucking titles? Jesus Christ. He'll be going fucking mad on that shit.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, guys, I hope you guys have a good rest of your night, and thanks for letting me hop in to do this handy.
Yeah, no worries, dude. Take care.
I
Yeah,
think,
thank you, Wonder, for the story, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Mike, before you jump in, I think since we had the Xbox side with you, let's give Tonk the joy of giving the PlayStation side.
What, on the PlayStation?
Yeah. What story
You must
Yeah,
have a good
yeah.
story, Tom.
Oh yeah. Well, I started watching like his streams on Twitch, and that's the thing. And then I sort of said, "Oh yeah, that looks like fun." And he goes, "Oh yes, like come on in." And yeah, he said he puts like all the rules up, and you think, "Oh yeah, this ain't going to be like that bad." But Christ, that was so hard. But you had fun when doing it. And that was, yeah. That was.
He thought the world of you as well, Tonk. He really did.
Used to call me,
I
he
can
used
say
to
that.
call me old. He used to call me old man.
Well, you are an old man. You're older than me, and I'm the oldest one. I was the oldest
yeah,
one until I got you into the server.
Am I that old? But yeah, no, that was like great fun. But I used to like it. Well, that was quite entertaining, should we say, when it all went wrong. Whether or not that had been like the game glitching or he had done something wrong,
It was always Ubisoft.
he'd blame Ubisoft all the time. But we always had fun. Even like that time, I think you were with us, Kate, weren't you? We spent 4 hours at Camp Tiger.
That was the only base we did that night, and we didn't even complete
That
it.
night, yeah, that night, that was between 4 to 5 hours we were there, and that was glitching out and glitching out and glitching out, and it was just driving him mad. But we had so much fun, and he just seemed to make the game sort of like really, really enjoyable, and now I play the game nearly to like the rules of what we do in like survival, and it's made the game a completely different game.
Yeah.
It's sort of, it's more enjoyable doing it his way.
He made it
When you-
playable.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
but you're not using like as he used to call it, all the Mickey Mouse shit, like the
The candy
the stink
canes.
spot drones and everything else like that, and like using like all the other stuff. You don't you sort of, you just don't use it, so you're using it and only like your throwables like you do in survival, and you play the game like that, and that is like he's giving you a completely new game. But I must admit that is ever so strange not being able to not playing the game with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That
agree with
is
you.
like there is something missing. Although you can play with all your mates and everything else like that, but when he's not about, there is something that is missing, and it is yeah, it's very blatant that there's something missing, you know, like you, and you just think, hang on, something's not right here.
It's because you're used to having that little break all of a sudden where Jeremy goes quiet for 2 seconds and suddenly you hear his vape coming down your headset.
Yeah, or you hear Liberty snoring. That is something else.
That wasn't
That is
his
something
vape.
I miss. That is something else that I really do miss.
Yeah, I miss
And that's
Liberty
listening.
snoring too.
I got Liberty snoring in the background.
That wasn't his vape that you would hear in the background. It's him taking a hit of his inhaler.
But yeah.
Either way it go, it was you would think it was something though. You hear it though.
Yeah.
This is how it would go. He would sit there, and whenever the whole team, whenever he goes down, he'd be like, and then he'll follow it up with,
Fuck you,
"Yep,
Ubisoft."
I'm still down."
Yeah. No, but like I said,
But hey, real quick, guys, I do want to ask if it's okay with everybody, because I'm gonna step out for a little. I'm gonna step out real quick, but I would like to let Ramblin' Rogue come in because he plays alongside Iron Mike, and let him kind of, maybe he's got some stories, because I know Iron Mike and him played with Jeremy on the Xbox side too. So if it's okay with you guys, you know, if you guys will be okay with me doing that.
You don't have to step out. We
And
still
Ramblin'-
got room.
Yeah, you don't have
Ramblin'
to step
Rogue.
out. We can fit 2 more in because Fat
Yeah.
Samurai's got his hand up as well.
Yeah, we can.
Okay,
Ramblin'
yeah, I was
Rogue
gonna
is
say,
Chief's son.
Yeah, we can squeeze you in.
yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to jump out. We can get 2 more people in backstop. We're all good.
Okay.
Okay, well, we'll get Rambling Rogue in, and Fat Samurai, keep your hand up and we'll get you in a minute. Okay, so I've sent him, so Rambling Rogue should be able to jump in.
Yep, you got to look at the top of the screen and it should. There you go.
There you go.
Go ahead, Ramble.
Hey y'all. Well, as Mike was saying, my dad and I played with him a lot. And it was my dad who introduced me to him. He's like, "Oh yeah, let me show you this guy. He plays the game differently." And like, how differently? I mean, like, what can you do that's different? And he was like, "Oh yeah, just you see." And I was in there, Mike was in there, I think, and me and my dad, and sometimes Halo Rouge would come around. Mike wasn't on there, and we'd play his rules. He'd be like, "No, don't use the drones. No, you can't respond. No, you can't do that. No, you can't do that." I'm like, "But it's a feature in the game." It's like, the feature sucks. And he would just play it differently, and you would catch on. And a buddy of mine who I introduced to him recently, we played with him for a little bit. He would run without his teammates on, so you wouldn't know where you're at unless you pointed yourself out by pinpointing your location. And as soon as he spawned in, Tyrant was on a run in the helicopter with rockets, and he just kept blowing him up because he wouldn't mark his spot. So I mean, I'm gonna miss the man. He would always make sure to ask how you doing. He treated you like I've said in my comments and on on YouTube and on the video on YouTube and on here. He treated you like family once he got to know you, and he wouldn't put you down for anything. He wouldn't say anything negative about you. He would always just he was always asking my dad, "Hey, how's your son?" You know, and when I was playing, he's like, "Hey, how you doing? How's the work? How's work going? How's this going?" You know, and he wasn't just treating you like your Xbox Live friend. He treated you as a friend, and that's rare these days because you don't get on Xbox Live and think you're gonna make a friend. You just have an acquaintance or someone you just play with every once in a while, but he made sure he reached out to you and he wanted to make you a better person, not only a better player in the game, because if you started sucking, he'd tell you sucked. And but he pushed you to be better person as well through the games, and he'd say, that's life, you got to push yourself. So I don't know what else to add to that, but if you guys have any stories, I know Mike has plenty of stories and all that. So if you want to keep me on, keep me on. If you want me to see my way out and let Samurai in,
well, I'll tell you what. We'll listen because I want to hear what Mike's got to say. So let's listen to what Mike's got to say. Fat Samurai, we will bring you in once Mike said his bit. So I'll send you an invite when Mike's done his bit. Okay.
Okay. We was at Gollum Island, and it's the one where you have this big platform at the bottom, and you have the soldiers and everything throughout the different layers of scaffolding, and then you have the parking lot in the back. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, the lava.
Well, anyways,
You talking about the satellite dish?
No, not the satellite dish.
No, it's at the lava ducts. It's at the lava ducts.
Not at the lava ducts. No.
Oh, you talking about the prototype workshop then?
No, before it.
Chemical refinery.
It might be.
With the ball, where ball is in the raid?
Yes, where ball is at the
refinery.
raid.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, so here we are going there, and it was late at night and stuff. And I had been working for 10 hours and stuff. And I was getting pretty tired. And well, anyways, we had a full team and we were assaulting this place. And we assaulted this place like several different times, we was getting our asses handed to us. And I'm up here on this ridge and I'm providing overwatch. I'm getting the attention of the behemoth while they're assaulting at the other areas after they go hot, and I'm sitting there and I fell asleep. And instead of him coming up there, throwing freaking C4 at my body like he normally does, to where I will respawn in once I come back to or whatever after I'm picking up my daughter. But this time I wasn't. I was actually asleep. And I went back and watched the video because I had a text at work the next day to watch the live stream. Don't come back on a team until you watch that live stream. I'm like, oh God, what did I do? And I'm sitting there watching this thing, and they're all up there. Everybody on the team is sitting there around me, pushing me, trying to get me to come awake and everything. And you can hear me in the background going. Well, anyways, they go over to the refinery and they come back, but it was just, I don't know.
But he gave you some serious shit for that, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He thought it was so funny though.
That's why he couldn't come back into the stream.
Just like the night after you guys hit that Camp Tiger, and he had me to watch that and then keep track of how many times you guys went. They had to reset, and I lost track at 43 is where I fell asleep at.
And and Andy left too.
Yeah, Andy already had left, and man, we had hours of not ridiculing or anything like that. We was I mean, you can actually go through our texts and get, advice from it. And we was breaking it down. I mean, this is one of the small, many of layers of that guy. And we went back and hit that same base, and we even had a hard time with it there for a few minutes. But we kept on doing that. And one time he intertwined a mission from 8UP's group where they had went to Camp Tiger and they had gotten wiped out. And we were supposed to come in and identify the bodies. And well, anyways, we get there and we clear out the base and everything like that. And he had asked me, he goes, "Did you find anything yet?" I'm like, "No, but I saw remnants of something." He goes, "Well, I guess that's it then. There ain't no bodies." And we went on to another spot. And he tried so many times to intertwine different aspects of different layers of ideas into a game to make it more than just what they had provided us. Like for instance, he intertwined me to take lead on putting missions together, and I was using Amber Sky, and he didn't like Amber Sky, but he went ahead and did it. And out of the blue, he used me as a guinea pig hours prior, and unbeknownst to me, turned that thing on, and on behold, Grandpa Ate Up came up on the voice box in my ear. I'm like, "How is he in here? He's on place." He goes, "No, he's on disc." I'm like, "What?" I'm confused. He goes, "Don't worry about it. It's something we're going to intertwine in the future." I'm like, "Okay." So here we are having PlayStation going on with us, hitting these missions. I mean, he had a neck for pushing somebody or anyone or a lot of us, and took our attributes and made it shine.
Mm-hmm.
And freaking forever grateful of it. You know what I mean? Freaking
Fortune favors the brave, man.
100%.
He lived that, and the man will never be replicated. You know, nothing he did will be replicated. And everybody here, man, he held close to the chest, and if he didn't, then you wouldn't be here talking about him right now.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I could say true enough. I mean, there's a couple people here, Mike being one, Mad Payne, Tonka, and me for sure. We've adopted his gameplay, so it's his gameplay is going to live forever, because even though it might be our own version, but we do know that Ty originated it and we got it from him. So now, I know Mike's streaming. Tonka, I think, is still trying to work on that. Mad, you stream, right?
Yeah.
And then I stream, and at one point, there was a story that he said to me. He said, I asked him, I says, "Can I take your game style?" He says, "Yeah." He said, "Just change it up a little bit." I'm like, "Okay." So then somebody in Twitter in Twitch messaged him saying, somebody's copying your exact gameplay, and not knowing to them, we knew each other. So, I mean, I had it was pretty much almost the exact, but minus some little bit of a detail, changing of the title. He had Extreme Team Survival with the EX. I had it with the X alone. So it was little minor details that was different, but it was still the same game. And we just remember Mike remember Mike when we was going up the alphabet.
Yeah.
Trying to catch up to the A team.
Yeah. Yeah.
We would say a wolf base was 2 letters, a regular base was 1 letter. If we lost that base, we had to go back down letters.
Yeah.
Mike's got Mike, I don't know if you were going to share this or not, Mike. So it's up to you. You were gonna say about Jeremy, about joining, the fact that he couldn't join the army. Was you going to mention that story?
We have that story at the end.
Yeah, it's in the recording.
Yes.
Same way of my motto, Semper Fidelis, Para Vito, and Desert Virtus, Para Sempre. What the
Okay.
meaning is also in there as well. So yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, but hotheads or blue lover, you got anything you wanna talk about Jeremy, or experiences with Jeremy?
Uh, well, originally I met Jeremy through the bullet catcher videos. He was quite good with me in a certain respect, that I had a couple of wee things that I was going through at the time, and he kind of gave me a wee bit of advice about that, and after that we started talking a wee bit more. We managed to go into the game, and I don't really think I've ever seen somebody run through that game with a pistol the way that guy did. I mean, eight up. You'll probably remember this at Camp Tiger. Me and you went down into the tunnels several times. Could we get through there? No. Ty goes down first time with a pistol, cleared. I had been watching it on the stream while we were trying to take the top of Camp Tiger, and it was so quick with the aim and the fire. It was unbelievable. I still can't get how quick he was with that pistol. And the rules that he came up with, I mean, Mads, you're using them, 8 up, you're using them, and they just bring a whole new element to the game. And as you guys says, it doesn't feel like the same game. It's totally different if you're using those rules. The game is so different, and it's actually better with his rules than what it was, or it just base wise. It's just so much better. And all I can say is just thanks for totally changing the way the game is for me, because it made it a whole lot more enjoyable to play. And I still do the same thing as I'm playing it the new with just on my own. I do the same thing. But it was always really good for listening. He was good at listening to you, and if you had a problem, he could try. He was good at trying to help you out with it. So all I can say is he will be missed. I will miss him, and there'll be nobody else like him.
Amen to that.
Yeah, man.
Everybody here, I will tell you something. Freaking, he told me this a long time ago. It's weird, eerie, and scary, but also warming to know that I've met different peoples from all over, and I can get with each one of them. And just knowing that we are like-minded in such a way. Granted, we'd never met each other, but we know of each other on here. And that's a testament, man. There's been many a times I've sat back and listened to every single one of you guys. say something of the man, about the man, as you know him. And I can relate to every single bit of that because each one of us has came to him about something. And he has listened to every single one of us. And he has helped each one of us out in his way. And he's the prime example of the meaning of humanity.
Well,
He's a prime example
story
of
for that.
what a brother, you know, and that's what I know him best. There'll never be another person like him I've ever met.
You referenced that he would help you out. Me and him was talking about the Elgato Stream Deck, and I was looking at my local store one day, and he was telling me,
I'll keep losing you, by the way.
You got me.
Yeah,
now?
you're broken up, buddy.
Coming in and out.
You got me.
Yeah, got you now.
Okay. There was a time when me and him we were talking about the Elgato Stream Deck, and I was looking at my local store on one particular weekend, and he calls me up. He says, "Did you get it yet?" I'm like, "No, not yet, but I'm looking at it." He says, "Don't get it." I was like, "What do you mean?" He says, "I'll just send it to you. I got the new one. I'll send you my 15 key Stream Deck. I got the 32 key." I'm like, "Okay, cool." He says, then he asked me, "Well, you're running PC, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." He says, "All right, I'll send you my HD 60 right along with it." And I'm like, "Okay, what's that?" He says, "That's the internal capture device that you can use to record your videos with better now." I'm like, "All right, cool." So a couple days later, I get this package, and in the process, I look up the prices at said dates, and it was about $300 worth of equipment. So I'm like, okay, cool, thanks, But then I start getting this eerie feeling like, okay, that didn't feel good enough, Like, okay, yeah, you send me $300 worth of stuff, and all I say is thanks. So I turned around and start talking to my wife. This was like a week later. I'm still sitting there saying, okay, it still doesn't feel right. So I talked to my wife. I said, I want to get him something. So I turned around and I said, okay, well, out of the blue, I asked him the question. I says, "Are you a meat eater or are you a plant eater?" He says, I don't eat anything that didn't have lungs before. So that gave me the idea. I'm like, okay, he's a meat eater. So I ordered $150 worth of steaks from Omaha Steaks. And I know Mike or Payne will have the story sitting there saying that he has no idea how much steak he had when that box arrived.
Yeah, he told me in a text, he goes, "I got a box today, and I don't even know how the hell or when or where I'm gonna eat all this at."
So, but it was the point of it was $150 worth of steaks that I sent that I actually felt better by saying, "Hey, thanks." But
I just want to say something. Can I just cut in really, really quick? Because I just noticed that Kirian Grimm is in the audience. So I just no. I don't know if Kirian's going to want to talk or not. I know he's not much of a talker. He's welcome to jump in if he wants to. But I just wanted to say something about Kirian quickly because Jeremy had said it to me before, so I wanted him to know this. Because obviously Jeremy was a really good photographer. And I will just remind everybody, dangerclosedigital.com, you can still go and see a lot of Jeremy's amazing photography that he did. Military photography, which you'll really, really like. Also, same name on Instagram. But he really did. He loved Kirian's in-game photography. He was always saying to me how excellent Kirian was at capturing pictures, and we've used Kirian's photos that he took in game loads of times on in videos and for thumbnails and things like that. So big shout out to Kirian, thank you for that. But I just wanted to, as a fellow photographer that Jeremy was, that you might want to know the fact that he really did highly rate the pictures that you took in the game. I just thought I'd shout him out as he was sitting in the audience at the moment.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
carry on, Grandpa.
But yeah, so here the idea of what I ordered for him from Omaha Steaks. I think he got three different types of steaks, which equaled like 12 steaks. He got some pork chops, four of those. He got four chicken breasts, and then he gets some type of seasoning. So for $150, I said, okay, that's a bang for the money. To this day, I still don't know if he actually ate any of those steaks because I never got the answer from him. And being that he was in Arizona, I sent him for the 4th of July. Naturally, the hottest time of the year. He's not going to barbecue on the 4th of July at 150 degrees. You can just lay him out on the sidewalk and cook them. So, but point being is, like around, I figured, okay, he can stuff them in the deep freeze, eat them whenever he wanted. But again, like I said, I never did get the praise or gratitude. I mean, I got the gratitude from him, but I don't know if he actually liked them. So
I'm sure he did.
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure
That way, yes. I mean, but I felt better by at least giving him some of the stuff back, money back for the stuff that he had given me.
Yeah, 100%. And I know that there's more than just yourself that he helped out and sent things to. He sent things to me before. He was very gracious like that, and he'd always insist on. I insisted on making sure he got paid, but he was always so chill about it and going, "Oh, whatever, just send it to me whenever." Very chill, and some of the things that he ordered me cost quite a bit of money as well, and he was so chill about it. He was such a nice guy, and he always used to get me to look out for. I can't even remember what they were. There was some computer software bits that he used to get, and he used to say that it was a lot more popular in the UK, something from back in the 80s. So he used to get me looking on eBay for him and stuff like that. But we've got Fat Samurai. He put his hand up and jumped in. Did you want to share a story, Fat Samurai, about Jeremy? Or I wasn't 100% sure. He's currently muted, so I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if he can hear us. He's in here. Oh no, he is in here. Did you have a story?
Yep. I
Hey,
can hear
bud.
you guys. I just honestly, I didn't know Tyrant very well, but from what I've heard, I'm really good friends with Gaz, and he's told me a lot of really, really, really funny stories with him. So, but you sound like a great guy. I just wanted to wish him the best upon whatever his future may be in heaven. But I just want to go and say he will be missed. Sounds like a great guy. Sounds like somebody that is really, really fun to be around, really good to be around. Sounds like someone that this community absolutely adored. But I'm just going to leave it at that. Just wanted to say that. There's sorry if I disturbed anything.
No, thank you, bud. Appreciate it. It's nice that, like you said, didn't know him that well, but you respect of who he was and stuff like that. So no, thank you. We do appreciate that. And it's a shame because it's a shame actually that we couldn't get Sandy in, because Sandy's about to be deployed again. Because Sandy had Sandy and Jeremy used to talk all the time as well. But it always used to make me laugh because they did differ their opinions on. Sandy's always been one of those people, and I'm sure he will listen to this. Sandy not necessarily defended Ubisoft all the time, but I think Sandy's a very positive person, which can be good sometimes. And he will look for the positive things in the game all the time. And obviously, he used to regularly, I would wake up and I'd go to work and I'd be, making a drink at work, and I'd go and check out what had been said on the Discord from the night before. And the amount of times that I saw, Sandy saying, well, what if they did this? And Jeremy would just come straight in and go, no, that won't work. No. And then Sandy would be, and bless him, and we love you, Sandy, buddy, if you're listening to this. But he would turn around and you could hear this positivity trying to just shine through. And he'd be like, no, I respect you, Jeremy. But what about this? And Jeremy like, no.
Nope.
No. No, that's bullshit. And it's like, And the amount of times those two went backwards and forwards over things used to make me laugh. But they never argued. They didn't fall out, anything like that. It was all such in good humour.
You would see this long paragraph from Sandy and then a one-word answer from Ty.
yeah, that happens so many times.
He would be like, "Shit."
Yeah, like, no, Ubisoft is shit or something like that. He would just go, no, it was a bad idea. I remember Jeremy. I remember just when Motherland, I believe it was probably about an hour after I put up my video, when I showed what was coming in Motherland, some of the main features that were coming. And I believe we were recording a podcast that night, I think it was, about Motherland. It was about 3 weeks before it was due out, I think, or 2 weeks, something like that. And we did a podcast on that one. And we'd regularly, obviously, jump on sometimes quickly beforehand just to go over what we were going to do. And this goes back to, I think, what Tonka was saying earlier about the fact that Jeremy couldn't stand all of the kind of more gadgety side of Breakpoint, and it was more to him about the guns and the shooting and the tactics as it was to, drones and sync shots and all that kind of stuff. And him going, I can't fucking believe that they've gone and put the the cloaking device in the game. And because he knew that I knew stuff and he knew that I'd played it already. And so he was asking me all these questions. How long does it last? What does it do with it? He was absolutely like grilling me like he was the Gestapo. He wanted to know everything about it because he was like, I hate this idea. This idea is stupid. Why have they done that? Why have they put this in the game? He'd be like, it won't be allowed on my streams.
Yeah, that's one of the rules.
Yeah, can't use it.
I remember getting in a conversation with him. I went on a rant in the message with him. And I was just talking about how buggy the game was acting for me. I couldn't stand how the item wheel was and all the things that he could relate to as well. And I was like, I just went on this long, like 3 or 4 paragraph rant. And then I was like, there's no response. What? Oh, shit. He's probably busy or something like that. So next thing you know, I was like, dude, I'm sorry for ranting, dude. I said, I'm just, every time I get into a dark place, I'm like, please don't judge me. And he sent me back. He goes, oh, I don't judge you at all. I can't, because I dwell there too.
Yeah.
He's like, everything you said, I agree with you. It's
yeah, you can't argue back if you agree. But it's at least it was better than Sandy's one-word answer. Nope.
They were just funny though. Honestly, I almost feel like going back and finding some of those on the Discord just so I can reread them again. Sandy would go into such detail about why something should work and how it could work and what could be done. No, like it was like I said, the positivity that came out of it, you could just hear it. He was so like, no, I believe in this game. I believe in this. And then it was just the response like, no.
He's probably done that deliberate.
Yeah, and then Sandy would come back with like another 5,000 words, and Jeremy would just reply,
"Still no, still no."
It's deliberate. It's deliberate.
You have to appreciate that. I mean, that was one of his great features that he had was, I mean, it didn't matter what you said, whether or not he agreed with you or not, or he knew exactly what you were going to say. He always sat there and listened. And that right there was like, you couldn't ask for anything better in a person, for someone to sit there and actually let you finish what you're saying. And then after you're done, he'd be like, well, you want to know what I know? You want to know what I think? Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, sure. And he always sum up, fuck Ubisoft. Like, some shit up like that. And it's like, but he'll sit there and he'll listen to you. If he disagreed with you, he would agree to disagree with you, but he would do it in a very Jeremy-esque way, where it would be funny. He always crack a joke, put a joke in there. I mean, he was famous for that.
I can remember one of the times where I heard him laugh the most I'd ever heard him laugh before, and obviously I've heard him laugh a lot, but it was we'd done one of the weapons videos, weapons we want in game, where Sandy had created, some of the weapons, and we were doing the one that Sandy had gone and created a lot of random things, like I think it was the mortars and some of the more unusual stuff, and I think we were prepping to record the video a few hours before, and Jeremy was like, "Well, I haven't had the stuff sent through to me. I need to look at them before we talk about them." So I said, "Well, I've got them, so I'll send them over to you, or I can stream them to you, and we'll jump in now." So I think I ended up streaming them, and for some reason he said he only had a small window open on his computer because he had loads of other stuff open. So he was like, "Oh, right, yeah, that's so okay. We've got that, yeah, right." And he's flicking through the pictures, and then he suddenly stopped and he's like, "What?" He said, I can't really see what this is. What is this?" He said, He says, "It's an error." He said, "There's something pink and weird sticking out the end of it." And I went, yes, Sandy created a fleshlight." And he was like, "What?" And I went, "Yes, someone mentioned in the comments before about having a fleshlight attachment. So I'd asked Sandy to create it." And honestly, he couldn't even talk for about 45 seconds. He was in hysterics. He was laughing so much. He was like, "Oh, fuck." He's like, "How am I supposed to do this in the video when this thing comes up?" And he just thought it was hilarious. And even now on that video, when I go back and listen to it, you can hear him just trying not to laugh. And Sandy ended up, he even surprised me because Sandy actually created, I think, 4 fleshlight attachments, and he'd only shown me one. He kept the other 3 as a surprise. But sorry, Mike, what was you going to say?
I was getting ready to say, it's funny you mentioned that because he sent it to me in a freaking text. He goes, "What do you think this is?" What the fuck?
And he kept trying to say,
How does that work?
Yeah, he was like, I've never even heard of a fleshlight." And I was like, "Yeah, of course you haven't." Oh, that was funny though.
Now there is one time there, Andy, that there was one point, and it was in a game. I can't remember exactly who was in it, but they were up there on what's that one? Arrowhead or
Arrow testing zone.
Arrow testing, yeah.
Okay, so naturally they cleared the base, and I think Pinch was in it. Pinch and maybe even Mike.
Pinch, me, and Hailarus and
right. So
Slayer.
there was this guy who says, "Hey, let me watch this." He's throwing
That's
grenades all over the helicopter.
That was me throwing the grenades.
Throwing the helicopter, and he says, "Oh, let me go over here and get a picture." And then you could hear Ty in the background. "Let's wait for the secondary." And then the guy says, "Secondary." And then the helicopter blows
And then Pinch was like, "I need to take a picture of this." And then we started laughing because we couldn't hold it back.
I mean, the guy was like, "Secondary." And then the helicopter blows up, the second explosion. And then all you could hear is Ty laughing. I mean, it's one of his clips on YouTube that you can actually go back and look
We
at.
laughed for 2.5 hours over that. Man, freaking Hailarus started getting mad after 30 minutes of hearing us laughing, and finally he started laughing too. Because when we went back and watched the video, and Ty would ask us like, "Did you notice anything off of Hailarus?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like physically coming off of freaking Hailarus. I'm like, "Okay." I went back and watched it, and I paused it. And what it was his IBA and his freaking backpack flying off of his back.
From the explosion.
I was like, "What in the world?"
So yeah, there's other times where he's laughed quite long on there too. So
yeah.
But
and the thing is, we've probably all got hundreds more stories, that you took his humor for granted in a way, and there's probably so many funny things that you can't necessarily remember. I mean, I was looking back when I found out the news. One of the first things I did was just go back through our messages and just didn't realize just how many thousands and thousands of messages we'd sent backwards and forwards, and looking at some of the photographs and things like that. And he was going to record an intro for us, a new intro for the channel to replace the one that we've got. and he'd spoken to a few friends of his who were and he was gonna do a live action intro for us. That was all being prepped, ready to be done. And Jeremy was also he was working on another logo to fit with that intro, and he was really invested in what we did. And he never asked for a penny for any of this. He just enjoyed doing it, and I did offer, but he wasn't interested. He just loved being part of this community, and I'm just so glad that we got to have him here in this community, and it will always mean such a lot to me. And I know that there's a lot of Ghost Recon communities out there, whether they're from YouTube channels or whatever they are, Reddit, things like that. I know that everyone's not over here, but I'm going to be biased here, but I think this community is amazing. And I said this on the tribute video, and I think it shows some of the people that we have in this Discord. People really did look out for each other the night that the bad news went out about Jeremy. There was so much love on the Discord, so many people offering, if you want to talk, I'm here. Whether they knew Jeremy that well or not, they knew who he was, they knew his reputation. And that's one thing that I think we can all take from this, that however you knew Jeremy, how well you knew of him, the way people have rallied around because of him and like that kind of legacy that he had is something that I'm really proud of. I mean, I'm proud to say that all of you here are friends. I've got lots of friends on the Discord too, and these are not just people who they're not acquaintances. That you guys are my friends, and this game brought us all together. Jeremy brought us even closer together, and you can't ever replace that. But I want to make sure that people know that we want to carry on, and the reason why we want to carry on, and the reason why we want to carry on doing podcasts and things, even though it will never be the same without having Jeremy, is because Jeremy wouldn't want us to stop. Jeremy will want us to keep calling out Ubisoft and telling them that they're shit. He will want us to keep doing that. He'll want us to keep going on at them to get things right, to talk about weapons, to talk about game, to cover a new game that may come out. He'll want us to make sure we're on that too. I know that he would not want us to suddenly stop what we were doing. And if he could be with us, he would. So we will continue doing that, if anything, on behalf of Jeremy, as well as everybody else who loved him and appreciated him. Sorry, I just wanted to add that.
I want to add one thing, if it's okay for everyone here. I would like to read one of Tyrant's last messages that he sent me. And this is speaking for the community too, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, by the way.
So I'm not going to go into the full conversation of what I said. I'm going to read just what he sent me. He said, I really appreciate your concern. It means a lot to me that you and the community as a whole has been very supportive. I believe I will be fine in time. I'm not giving myself the time I need. I need to stop thinking I will recover in the same amount of time as I would have in my 30s and being depressed about it. And I said what I said, and then he said, you guys fucking rock. And in that message, reading back on it, I don't think he wasn't just talking about me and Mike. He was talking about the community too. Looking back and really looking into these messages, I mean, that was his last message that I received from him before everything went quiet. So, to let everybody know in the community, he thought the world of everyone.
The weird thing about it is, and I'm in a couple other server sites, and I know some of you guys are as well, but it was weird enough that when it did finally spread, that some of the other communities were in disbelief as well. Because I'm still in a mill sim, in which he called silly sim, but it was still fun to play in it and still do my little thing that I wanted to do. But there were a couple guys over there saying, hey, this guy that's on Bullet Catcher's podcast, just heard that he passed away. And I didn't say anything about it because naturally it was at the early days of it, which naturally for all of us, we didn't want to talk about anything at that particular moment. So
But I'm losing you again, Marcus, by the way.
How about now?
Yeah, you're all good.
All right. What was the last thing that you guys heard on me?
Guys.
About
yeah, you were saying about the Milsim guys.
So, going from the Milsim guys, I heard from them that they even knew about Tyrant because they said, over on the Bullet Catcher's site, this guy's who's on the podcast, he passed away. And I didn't want to say anything because, one, naturally it was in the early stages of it because, all of us were probably hit the hardest when it happened. I mean, we didn't want to talk,
Right.
but at the same time, we wanted to talk. And then we start thinking, okay, how can I go and hear his voice outside of, the game? And naturally you going over all the little stories that you had. But it was more or less like I'm in a couple sites, like I said, the community even knew about him outside of Bullet Catcher Gaming. So he had some type of influence outside.
Did you guys I don't know when my audio cut out, but did you all hear the message that I read of his?
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure that everything went through. My audio messed up, but piggybacking on what 8 Up said, it's everyone here has their own personal relationships that they had, and everyone's relationship that they had with him is unique in its own way. And that's something for every single one of us, as well as the community, need to hold close, because that's what this Discord's all about. This Discord is not just about the game. This is about connecting people to one another. And yes, in part, it is about a game, but it is all of us coming together, sharing our personal interest, our personalities, our characters, and getting close to one another and playing with one another and, enjoying what the Discord is all about, and enjoying friendship, enjoying everyone's company. And I got to say, also piggybacking off what Andy Bullet Catcher said, this Discord is one of a kind. And I'm not saying that. I don't think it's being biased at all, by all means, because you're speaking fact. I mean, I've never been part of something where people care so much. And when everything happened with Jeremy, everyone as a community expressed themselves in it was, I mean, you all seen it, how the Discord blew up with people who were leaving messages, who were caring, who were, saying sorry about how things happened, how they miss him. And I mean, as well as us, I mean, this is what this community is all about. And it's about friendship. It's about the camaraderie that we all share, and the interest that we have in common. And I think if anybody represented or reflected this, it would be Jeremy. Jeremy reflected all of this.
That's well said. I mean, I don't know if he was on many other Discords. I don't believe he was.
Yeah, but they knew of him somehow.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Yeah, well, I suppose there are people that have been on other Discords that maybe have listened to some things that he'd done for us, or seen his streams or played with him or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's not all about us here and all the rest of it, but lots of other people did know him. But obviously, he, like I said, he told me before how much this meant to him and being here and the people that were here. And so, you know, and he was a big part of that. So I'll always be grateful for him for that. But not just for him. It's about the fact that we feel so much for him is about this community in general. And you know, this video is not some kind of recruiting advert to come and join the Discord. If people want to come and join, then they will be very welcomed here. But it's not about that. It's about Jeremy, and we're just trying to kind of let people know that, you know, there are communities out there, and that truly do care. And I'm not putting down any other community whatsoever. But I've not experienced anything like that night. You know, people were ringing each other. I had multiple conversations with people, and it was quite late for me. I think it was gone. It was gone midnight, I believe, when I found out. And I think I spoke to Mike, and I spoke to Mad, and I think I spoke to a couple of other people. And obviously, I think 8up, you and I were messaging each other, and it's just it was just a lot of love going around, checking that people were okay and how people were doing. And I know some people really, really were hit hard. I was one of those people. Deciding, you know, how we could go and honor him as best as we can. And I want to honor him. This is not just about we do this and that's it. We never mention him ever again. That's certainly not going to happen. I'm looking away with UK Jedi to try and honor him in every single video moving forward. With a kind of banner that we're thinking of putting up at the beginning. I've just got to create that will get done. You know, I want to make sure that he is always remembered. And if you do know Jeremy and you do want to talk about Jeremy, and, you know, jump onto the Discord, because Iron Mike is, there are two channels that we have on the Discord which are all about Jeremy. One of those is, well, do you know what, Mike, you can talk a little bit about what you're going to be doing on those two if you want before we finish up.
I got some ideas on how to restructure it. I was talking with Mad Mountain Pain about it and a little bit, and I'm trying to hone it in a little bit more before I present it to you guys. I know I've talked to every single one of you about it, and one portion of it's going to be renamed to where it be more honoring him, and I wanted to add a section with a chat eventually, because it's going to be revisiting a blast from the past of Tyrant Slayer's operations, and that he had once used, that a lot of us has never had the luxury to do it with him. A lot of you guys that knew him more than me at the beginning have done those certain missions with him, you know, and I want to separate it from the two main ones that I know for a fact were honed in, were structured the way that they were. That was the finished product, and that was the survival and the combat tour. The Spectre mission got pushed off to the table because it wasn't because it was a failure. No, it was because it needed to be readjusted to welcome in the Motherland conquest mode. Okay, because of the optical camo and everything else, and that's the reason why eventually the other two rules sported no use of those of that such item. And the Spectre itself is supposed to be done on the story mode, because that rules came out right around the same time frame, just about a month before, maybe a month or two before Motherland hit. But we tried it in Motherland, and it just became chaos. So he put it off to the side to revisit it later, to rehone it in to where it could be used on that mode or the other, one of the two. We just never got around to it. The first portion is a memorial wall where people can go in and leave messages, thoughts, stories, and such like that. My thought of creating another one beside that would be people who can share survival clips or survival stories of with Tyrant Slayer or not, or their experience with those rules, trying to play those rules throughout their duration, what they've experienced, and build a community of that within our community, you know what I'm saying, to where it's still honoring the man and it's still bringing people in. But that was just an idea, a rough idea. And but I have noticed that there is somebody down there in the audience right now that was close to him. I'm not sure whether or not he wants to come up here and say something. He's more than welcome to. His name is Roger Robert. If you want to say something about Jeremy, raise your hand and we'll pull you up.
He does.
Yeah, he does. So we will we'll pull him up. I will just say quickly whilst we're bringing him in that we intend to do some live streams on the YouTube channel with Jeremy's rules. Just in case if there are people out there listening to this or have seen the tribute video and don't know what Jeremy's rules are and hadn't seen some of his streams, we will be doing some of those in the following weeks. So keep an eye out for that. But Roger, if you can hear us, you're in now. You played with Jeremy a lot. Do you have any interesting stories or anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, mic check real quick. You guys hear me?
Yep,
okay?
you're good.
Yep.
I mean, most of the stories I would be there for.
Okay, we lost you.
Oh, we've lost you.
Yep. Oh. Start over. Come back to the mic because he faded out on us too.
Oh, am I back now?
Yep.
Yeah, I can hear you now, dude.
Okay. I'm sorry. I was saying, most of the stories I would have, Mike would already have too, because he was always there whenever we were playing together. But for me, it was just kind of, when I heard the news, it was just like finding out your big brother's gone now. He was.
You don't feel like it's real.
He was really probably one of the main reasons I became as involved with Discord and playing with people here and all that I did. Even on here, he kind of, I don't want to say he took me under his wing, but whenever I was making a faux pas, he was the first person to be like, "Hey, just so you know, I ain't gonna get mad at you," but he kind of went out of his way to look after me and make sure I'm not. Yeah, it's I looked at him as kind of a mentor.
I think a lot of people saw him like that. To be fair.
Oh yeah, I think that's why his presence is.
Yeah, and I've even seen other YouTubers as well. I know Ghost Island Thunder had mentioned him, and I know that obviously there were some others that did. G Money did a Jeremy's Rules kind of live stream and stuff, and they both openly had said that they didn't know Jeremy particularly well, but they had heard that he was such a big part of the community and knew of him, that they wanted to kind of honor him too, which is that other people would wanted to do that is nice. Just think he had such a huge.
Sorry, Andy, you go.
Go on, no, go for it, dude.
Hey,
No,
real quick, Blue Lover, not to overstep you.
No.
Andy, after Blue Lover, we do have another guy. He's a brother from another mother. I met him through Tyrant Slayer. His name is Destroyer Chief. That's
we will bring him straight up. We can bring him up now if he wants to talk. We can bring him in. If Destroyer Chief, if you want to come up and talk, put your hand up, and we will send
there's
you.
There's a little hand icon. Click on it, and we'll be
There
able
you
to
go.
bring you up into the chat, Chief.
Somebody's hand is up.
Yeah, he's got his hand up.
I just did that. I put invite to speak on, so I don't know. I'm not sure if
Right.
he's seen it. Well, let's see. He might come up.
There you go.
He's up. We've got on Blue. Finish what you were saying, and then we'll speak to Destroyer.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say that just goes to show you the kind of caliber of the guy. You know, he never put himself out there to be anything in particular, but just look what he's done. Do you know what I mean?
And that's what I was saying earlier. At no point did he ever. He didn't come onto YouTube to try and get a reputation. He didn't, you know what I mean? He hadn't asked to be in our videos so people knew who he were. He wasn't trying to make a name for himself. He just did what he did. And I'll always respect him for that. And obviously, especially being on a lot of YouTube videos and being on podcasts and stuff. And I mentioned this in the tribute. Obviously, a lot of people go onto YouTube to make a name for themselves because they want to be heard. They want to get their voices heard. That's what YouTube is all about. He had no interest in any of that whatsoever. He just wanted to make friends and be there for people, play games with people, and I think that's why so many people. It's very, very obvious just how much respect people had for him. Destroyer Chief, hopefully we can hear you okay if you've got a mic, and if you have, what did you want to say, dude?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
all good.
Yep.
Hey guys. Hey, my name's Destroy Chief. I've known Jeremy for about 6 years now. I started playing on Wildlands, carried on into Breakpoint. Got to know each other pretty well. Had a lot of good times playing the games. Just shooting the breeze anyway, but just having an all-out good time with it. But you're right. What I've heard so far, Jeremy wasn't looking for fame or fortune. He just out to have a good time and trying to have a camaraderie there. So he definitely was a independent soul there. So just wish I could have got to know him personally, but just actually meeting him face to face. But living in Arizona versus me down here in Florida was just wasn't gonna be. But what time we did get to spend together? We got probably 500 hours playing the game together, easy. So we've had a good time with it. But I certainly hated to see him go, but he's a rare bird, that's for sure. 1 in a million. But
the fact that so many people have said that just truly shows what a person he was. This is not one person saying this. This is, we're talking probably hundreds of people saying this, and that really shows the caliber of a person with so many people just saying, no, this guy helped me. I mean, almost every single person here is saying, well, they spoke to him and he helped them when they had a problem, or he sent them things. He did, there's just so many things. And that's not even just about the gaming side of it, or the channel side of it and the podcast side of it. This is just personal stuff, that he was there for so many people. And you got 500 odd hours in with him. That's a lot of play time. So you probably got some fun stories. You probably had have you got any, can you remember any specifics? I was one thing that I always remember Jeremy saying over and over and over again to me is whenever he'd ask me about something that was coming or the update that just happened or whatever, he'd always turn around and say these 2 words, and he goes, oh, dress up. And he used to mention those words, dress up, all the time, because for me, if people that like to do the whole different uniforms and all that kind of stuff, he used to kind of laugh at all that stuff and just call it dress up. And he hated it. He really did hate all that stuff. But he didn't ever knock. He never ever knocked anybody who liked it though, and I do ever. But he was just personally, he was just like, no, it wasn't for him. But yeah,
I will say there were a few occasions where he did give me shit for looking like a G.I. Joe, but it was well deserved.
I can't say this much about him. We played Wildlands quite a bit. And that's obviously the first time I started playing with him, got invited to play with him, and we were playing quite a bit and having a good time. But he had a nasty knack, a habit almost, of dropping a helicopter on my head almost every game. Shoot it out of the sky and drop it right on top of my head. He had to come pick me up, but it was almost like a game for him, that's for sure. But we had some good times playing that game, that's for sure. But that was one of his fun things to do, dropping a helicopter on somebody's head. He
I
had a
remember
knack.
playing in a lobby with him, and Tonk was in there with us too. And it was off stream, and right towards the end, we were getting ready to get off. I got blown up out of nowhere, and I'm like, "What the fuck just happened?" He goes, "I don't know. Where'd that come from?" And I turn around, it was him with a fucking rocket launcher. I was like, "You motherfucker!" He was like, "I don't know where that came from. I swear."
He did that to me. He did that to me one night. One of the first nights he got his PS5, and we jumped on and had a game. And I was already in the game, and he jumped into my game. And he came into my bivouac. I came out the bivouac, got in my helicopter, and just as I took off, it blew up. And I was like, "What? What the hell's just gone on?" I was like, "There's no one here." My character managed to not die somehow. And I got up, and then I just heard him chuckling under his breath, and I was like, "Fuck you, that was you, wasn't it?"
Number one, whenever he leaves the bivouac first before anybody else, always do a walk around of the vehicle.
Yeah, always. That PlayStation 5 will get him in the game quick too. Yeah, you had to walk around the vehicles. You had to walk around the bivouac sometimes just to make sure you didn't get blown up.
Yep.
Absolutely. But no, he's gonna be missed hugely. I miss him on the Discord every day. I used to, like I said earlier, I used to enjoy waking up in the morning, obviously because of the time difference for me, and catching up with what he'd been saying during the night and what others were talking about, and read the conversations when I first got to work in the morning. And I'm just going to miss that. It's like I said, we've got some awesome people on the Discord, but it's just a shame I miss not seeing his name up there in the mornings.
Yeah.
It's just not the same. It really isn't. Though, like I said, he brought so many cool people in, and it's so good to have all of you guys on there. And we're going to keep his memory going, every single one of us in our own way, whether it's people streaming on their channels or making videos or doing things like this or doing podcasts or future things. We are going to keep his memory going 100%. And the good thing is that Jeremy had sent me most of his photography. It allowed me to use any of it, which was very generous of him. And I still have all those images, so I'm going to continue to use them in some way, because I'm hoping that they'll keep his website going, so people can see at least his photography for many years to come, so I can show off some of his fantastic photos and things like that. He was just such a generous person. Like I said earlier, he never wanted anything. He never asked me for anything at all, ever. I'll always appreciate that, and all the help that he gave me on the channel and in the videos and the last that we had. And I used to like listen to sometimes stories that he'd be telling me about a game he'd had the night before with so and so, and Destroyer would mention you loads of times to me, and Roger, you, and obviously Mike and Mad, and whether it be Hotheads or whatever, Tonk, just so many different people he'd had games with. Some of the crazy things that he said he'd done the night before if I couldn't get on because of getting up early for work, stuff like that. It's just going to leave a hole, and I don't want to fill that hole with something else, because that means we'll always remember him and we'll always think about him, and I think that's hugely important. We're not trying to do this as a send-off and suddenly he's not here anymore. We'll be talking about Jeremy for years to come, I can tell you that much.
I said this once and I will say it again, that as long as we keep doing what we're doing and we keep his game modes thriving on streaming, playing them, whatever, we keep playing them, Jeremy will never be gone.
Right.
And I mean, I know it sucks sometimes whenever you get on and you start playing these modes that you start reminiscing, out of nowhere, you start thinking about them. And I know it's hard on a lot of you guys, especially Chief and Mike and 8up and Tonk. I mean, I know that, sometimes it gets to you, but I will tell you this much right now. He wouldn't want any of us to sit here and sulk, be sad. He'd want us to get up off our asses and enjoy the mode that he created. And he wanted to share it with everybody, and he would certainly want us to share it with everyone else too, as well. So, I mean, that's all I really want to add on that aspect. He will never be gone, as long as we keep doing what we're doing.
No, totally respect that. Kieran Grimm actually wants to jump up throughout the audience and say something. Would someone mind, because we can only have 10 in backstop, would someone mind jumping out just so Kieran can... Oh, someone already has.
The weird thing about his gameplay, and he and I even explained it to everyone. I said, don't take this game lightly, this mode lightly. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, even the smallest base can be the worst nightmare in this game mode. So you could, you could go to abandoned barracks, Camp Tiger, and walk right through it. But then you go to that little rinky-dink depot, the ammo depot, and cannot get away from it. Because, 10 guys in that base were versus the 40 in the other ones, but you can't get past the 10 guys, but you can get through the 40. Do not take this game mode lightly. That's what I tell everybody who comes in.
Kieran, you're good to come up. I've put you on invite to speak, so you should be able to just press the button and come up.
But yeah,
because I know you wanted to speak.
Mike, I know.
Always remember that.
Yeah, I know you guys all agree on his game modes. I've all said it to any new person. Do not take this game mode lightly. Even the smallest base is your worst nightmare tonight.
100%. So, Kieran, hopefully we can hear you. No, we can't.
Is he muted?
Sorry about that.
Yes, we can.
Now we got you.
All good. All good. Go for it, buddy.
Yeah. By the way, thank you for telling me about him saying that about my photography. It actually made me remember, back whenever y'all were doing those photo contests and stuff. Right after one of them, I think I came in like third or fourth or something like that. I remember him messaging me after that, and he was like, "Hey man, don't be discouraged." And I was like, "I'm fine, I'm cool." But I always enjoyed playing with him. Always enjoyed the conversations, and much like y'all, I always looked forward to seeing all the conversations he'd have with people. Anytime I came into the Discord, I'd wake up and I'd see like pages and pages of him talking to people.
Yeah, across all the channels as well. It wasn't just in general. It was, you go in any of those channels, and he was in all of them. He was chatting away, whether it was about weapons or whatever. The only one you never really saw him talking was anything to do with outfits.
Or the raid.
Outfits or memes.
Or the raid. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they were the only things that he wasn't particularly interested in. But no, he did highly rate your pictures. And you did win a photo contest, didn't you? I'm sure you did.
Yeah, I won.
Yeah.
But it was
one of the more recent ones, I believe, wasn't it? Yeah, one of the more recent ones. Yeah, you won that one.
Motherland contest that you had photo mode in, where you had to have like your teammates in it or something.
Yeah, I can't remember which one it was. Well, I was going to say, it was. To be fair, your pictures are great, dude, and obviously we've used them many a time, and I intend to use many more. So keep taking pictures.
Absolutely, but just whenever you said that, it reminded me of, because the first time I played with him, he actually brought up photography and stuff while we was playing, and I just always loved, especially because it's coming from him, especially, that praise is really high. I I have a lot of respect for everything he's always done. All the pictures he shared, all the stuff, like both real and some of those that he took in game stuff, it was really good.
No, he did take really good pictures as well in game. To be fair,
He
but
even had a video telling. I can't recall when it was or where it was that he posted it, but he did have an instructional video on how to take pictures in Breakpoint.
It was just prior to the contest of the picture contest that we had on Discord.
And like I say, I can't remember where it was posted, but it was definitely a good tip for anybody who was looking to do little in-game pictures.
yeah, I've lost you again. I don't know why I keep losing you.
I'm still here.
Maybe it's just me.
I'm here. You got me?
I got you.
Okay. But
I got you.
I'll tell a funny story real quick. I was around Christmas. It was like a week or so before Christmas, and we were messaging back and forth. He asked me. He goes, "Do you want some redemption?" I get redemption. Or retribution. He said. I was like, "Yeah." I said, when are you thinking? He was like, "Oh, right now." I said, "Well, I can't right now." I said, "I'm out there Christmas shopping," and he goes, "Oh, for the kids?" I went, "Yeah." I was like, "I don't know what to get them," and he goes, "Well, have you tried lumps of coal?" I was like, "No." I said, "No." He goes, "I'll tell you what you could do. You could all give him a COVID test for Christmas." I went, I'm like, only Jeremy.
That's funny. That is funny. But no, we're all going to miss him. And hey, do you want to just tell people a little bit more about what you're going to be running at the end here when we finish up?
Yep, I got that. But I do have one more story.
Go for it.
One more small, and this is real short. Jeremy always said, "I always feel like the old guy in the room." He finally met me, and I'm older than him. He says, "Now I feel like a medium guy." Then he meets Tonk. He says, "I feel like the youngster," because Tonk is older than me. So when the three of us were in the game, Jeremy was the youngster of the three of us.
And he's got grey hair.
Yeah, and I mean, I have some, but I don't know how you look. But if you
Yeah,
guys...
I asked him one time how old he was, and he told me, he goes, "Oh, I'm 58."
No, who, Tonk?
No,
Jeremy.
Hi,
no,
Jeremy.
He never told me. He never said 58 to me because I'm 52, and he was just turning, I think, 50 or 51 when we met. So
He pulled everybody's legs telling he was older.
I've been in the group maybe just over a year or something. So, but if you happen to look on the avatar, my avatar is his character in game. So, from one of his games. So, but
I'm sure Jeremy was on when we were on PlayStation one night, Marcus, when we were waiting for you to jump in. And you said you'd be 5 minutes or something, and you came in. I remember we were all sitting in a bivouac when you came in, and your microphone wasn't working. What I was saying earlier, and you came in, and even he didn't know. He was like, "Who the fuck is this?" And I was like, "I don't know. Who is this?" Honestly, I had no idea it was you. You don't even sound like the same person. It was so funny. He had no idea it was you either.
So you mean my voice changed all of a sudden, and now it's not the Morgan Freeman voice?
No, it wasn't. Yeah, or the kind of Barry White or whatever, But,
compared to this voice right here.
Yeah, it was just so funny. It's just so different. Like we just had no idea it was you, and even here, but he played with you so often that he had no idea that it was you. There was like this, I could kind of tell, but I was like, no, what's he done? Something's not right. He must be ill. And it was like, no, that's just you. That's just you.
Yeah, my mic was out that particular day, and I had to go back through the controller My
I remember,
And
yeah, it took you
my
ages for us to get you back to proper. You kept going through all these different settings and you suddenly
right.
sound different. And it took about half an hour for you to kind of get it back to what it was supposed to be.
Right. So I have, like this broadcast set up, so that's why my voice sounds all nice and deep and clean. Whereas if I just flip one switch, like this switch right now, my voice has a completely different tone, and you guys hear the exact same thing everyone else is hearing now. So,
yeah, mine's the same way, except when I hit my switch, I talk like a bean. I don't know why.
but
don't go there. Don't go there.
but to elaborate a little bit on the tail end of this podcasting, we will be playing taps. Mike and 8 guys collaborated on that. There's a section that has where there's I think 3 or 4, maybe 5 guys that say something at a monument in the game. There is a missing man formation flight with helicopters. At the beginning of the video today, you have noticed that there was a helicopter that was inbound. Well, this is a outbound. Jeremy never flew his helicopters outbound in any of his videos. And I think Mike can probably explain that in detail.
No, he never did. The only thing we did do was get in a plane, and Pinch was flying, and we'd fly to the sky, leaving Aurora when we was on combat tours and stuff. But as far as like survival goes, we never left the island in any kind of vehicles or anything like that. We always went back to the bivouac and did our closings there.
And then at the very end, he had a very special close that he pretty much programmed. There's a song that he picked. I think Mad Payne picked a song for him, but he had, for everyone that liked or subscribed to his videos, somehow he had a running collection of names. So it was like a text file. So the last stream that has this text file will have pretty much his final stream, because this was when he was doing the single man challenge. And at the very bottom right, it'll say 0 versus 1. But that is the little bit that I couldn't get rid of because I needed to have the song start up. And so this is how we're going to go out as far as with Jeremy. We're going to have taps. Mike and the guys did a really good job. And then they went to a PvP and set that up. Then they went to a location somewhere in the game. I can't recall off the top. Then I had a couple guys, and we did the missing man formation, and then we're going to do the close with his final song that he chose to play in the streams. So Andy, if this is it, I can go ahead and.
Yeah, I will close us out, and I would just like to say, for everyone who jumped on, thank you so much for sharing your stories. There are many more, and as Mike said earlier, there's the memorial wall channel where you can go in and put any stories you want, and hopefully people will continue to do that. I know I will. And we're not going to forget Jeremy. That is an absolute fact. We will continue to talk about him. He'll always be there. His presence is always going to be felt on any of our videos, podcasts. It's been a very difficult few weeks for everyone. Some more than others, especially some of the people that knew him very, very well. And I'm just pleased that those people are here and I can talk to those people and find out more things about Jeremy even I didn't know. Thank you so much for listening to this, everyone. It's been one of our longer podcasts, but we didn't want to set a time limit on it. But obviously we know we can't go on forever. But please continue to enjoy the rest of it and the things that the guys have done as a tribute to Germany, which will follow as soon as I'm finished here. But thank you again, everyone. I do appreciate all of you, and for everyone who's listened, thank you so much. And thank you for everyone for those amazing comments that people left on the tribute video as well. That means a lot to me and to us. So thank you. So 8 Up, if you want to take us out the podcast, and we'll see you again on the next one. Take care.
Iron Mike, I want you to go ahead and say your Latin phrase right now.
Semper Fidelis. Para Vito. In estes et virtus. Para siempre.
This has been a Bullet Catcher Gaming Podcast. Join us next time for another exciting episode. Join us on Discord. The Discord information will be in the description. Comment, like, and subscribe. Signing off.
Break. Oh, tench. Hump. Row. Zimmy. Tyrant. Hammer.
Here.
Tyrant Slayer 01. Tyrant Slayer 01, aka Go 6. Tyrant Slayer 01, aka Jeremy. Present arms. Ready. Aim. Fire. Ready. Aim. Fire. Ready. Aim. Fire. Order. Arms. Jeremy always wanted to be in the military, but his health wouldn't allow it. About 10 years ago, he told me, or maybe it was 8 years ago, he was a part of the Arizona military militia type group that went down to the border in New Mexico to patrol in between the roving patrols down there. What they did was they were unarmed. All they had was a GPS, radio, water, food, and blankets. When they found someone, they would call it in and give them food and water, and also use the blankets for shade or possibly warmth. Till the officials got there. That's why I'm okay with giving him military honors. He was the type of man, I know for a fact, if he was in the military, he would have been something like we would never had seen before. He was so respectful, honorable to us all, even veterans alike, in high regard even. He came to our defense when, unbeknownst to us, many of times, not only like the border. He done this on the Discord, displaying nothing but one thing, selfless service, and that there is an action deserving of an honor in my eyes. That's Jeremy. On behalf of Bullet Catcher Gaming community and the Ghost Recon community, to include the Extreme Dream team and a grateful gaming community, please accept this rifle as a symbol of Jeremy TYRANTSLAYER01 honorable and faithful contribution. I've always told him this motto. I explained to him what it meant, and I want to share it with you today. Semper Fidelis, Para Vita, and Nes Decet Virtus, Para Sempre. It's Latin, combining of both my mottos that I've served in the military, both in the Marines and in the Army. Semper Fidelis means always faithful, always loyal. Para Vita means for life. Nes Decet Virtus, not let valor fail. Para Sempre means forever. Next.
How y'all people doing this evening? Man, rules, one of Tyrant's brothers from another mother. I was the type, man, I looked at Tyrant sort of like a comedic figure slash heroic figure. Like, he always had something smart to say, something smart to just say back, ready to come back, pop off, you mess around and get on him with a joke or something like that. He was always ready to fire off one back at you and everything. And that made me laugh, man. It made me laugh a lot. And it felt good, knowing that they had people like him out there, man, on the gaming community other than noobs and whatnot, I honestly don't really know what to say, or I'm just glad, I actually got to meet the guy, man, not in person, but as on this video game, and the way that I met him was by total accident. Can y'all believe that? But I'm actually glad I'm one of the people that actually got to meet him, because I don't regret it in one form or fashion. It's been one of the best things I've actually got to do with gaming, and he's also the reason I've actually been introduced into the streaming world. If it wasn't for him, I would be on YouTube, I wouldn't be on Twitch or none of that. So I'm actually quite thankful for what he did, for me as of gaming. And if I had the chance to actually meet the guy in person, I personally myself would have gave me his address and his number, hey man, we've been partying. We would have been partying for a good quite bit. So, uh, I just want to show on my behalf, from brother to brother, from soldier to soldier, man. Rest in peace, man. Nothing but the highest, man.
I didn't know him long, but what I did know, he was an awesome individual. He was technically and tactfully proficient in this gaming community. And when some of us think we know it all, he would show us we still didn't know much. But he always had an answer, and not just an answer. He had an answer to your question that made sense. And if you didn't understand it, he was more than willing to explain it. He was always willing to listen to a difference of opinion. He might not always agree with you, but he was willing to listen to you. He did a lot for the community that a lot of people probably never saw, and they may not ever see. But there's a lot of things he contributed, a lot of people he reached in more ways than one. There are a lot of things that this community can look to him and know that he was the reason why it got to be where it is today. Be thankful for even knowing him. From his streams to the podcasts to just the general knowledge he would put out in the chats. He was a great man. And the world's just a little bit smaller now without him. Before I go, I will depart with this. From this day to the end of time, we few, happy few, we band of brothers. For whoever sheds his blood with me today shall be my brother. However humble his birth, this day shall grant him nobility, and men back in English now safe in their beds will curse themselves for not having less of their own manhood when they listen to the stories of those who fought with us.
Yep.
So, I just want to say a few things, keep it really short. My first, Jeremy was one of my first friends on Xbox, and he helped make sure every time I would hop on. Didn't matter if I was having a bad day in my personal life or in game, man, he always made sure I kept my head up. So I just want to leave y'all with a little something. Uh, this is a quote. It says, "It is foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died, rather than not for the men that have lived." I don't listen to Jeremy. I'm gonna say one last goodbye to you, man.
I ran into Tyrant about a year ago, and from the beginning, he would push you to your absolute best. Because he gave his best, he expected the best in return. We streamed on and off when I could, when work wasn't taking me away. A lot of times after the streams, we would sit around and talk for hours over different firearms and just pick each other's brains on different ideas. He made mention several times that he always felt comfortable when he had either me or Mike in on an Overwatch position. And wherever you, I know you're watching our.
On behalf of Bullet Catcher Gaming, Andy, Knuckles, Ada, many of others, Skater Girl, everybody in our community. Those of you in on the ceremony of Jeremy, he's going to be greatly missed, but he's never going to be forgotten. Thank you for tuning in. Semper Fi.
Six. Oh. Ah.
survival. 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 It may be by the skin of my teeth. I may have to steal like a thief, but I will fight for my survival. Yeah. Survival. I'm gonna be the last one standing. I will overcome, and I refuse to run. I'm gonna fight for my survival. Yeah. I will overcome. There's no way I'm backing down this time, 'cause I will fight for, yes, I will fight for survival. Come too far to stop now. I'll make it through and I don't care how, 'cause I will fight for my survival. So make no mistake, my friend, we both know how this will end. I've gotta fight for my survival.